LPVOs have taken some fire recently. It seems that this jack-of-all-trades optic is just that, a master of none. LPVO stands for Low Power Variable Optic, meaning they can zoom in and out of low magnification powers, normally 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8, and more recently 1 to 10. Here are two things you should know about LPVOs. Their 1x is not a true 1x. It's usually closer to 0.9 or 1.1 or even 1.25. Secondly, the higher you go on the top end of the magnification range, the more compromises must be made from a usability perspective. Even with the top-end, very expensive optics, you cannot escape the laws of physics that govern optic design. I'm not an expert on these laws, or most things really, so I'm not going to talk about them. The point is, these are tricky pieces of kit to make, and can be tricky to evaluate for your kit. As the focus of the gun community, yes, we are a community, we meet Tuesdays right after the patriarchy brunch. As the focus has morphed, I might say matured, from a competition mindset to a SHTF mindset, many folks are changing their perspective on optic selection. What was once a 1x obsessed culture has begun to appreciate the possibility of long shots in real-world scenarios. Just look at what's happening in Ukraine. Also, many novice shooters, I'd throw myself in this camp for most of my gun-owning life, are only now getting out to practice with their gear and realizing that they do not share the same exact preferences as their favorite gun tuber. So today, I want to give you a look through 3 high-end LPVOs to act as one helpful data point in your search to find the right optic for you. Rather than spout facts and numbers that you could probably find on a product page, I'm going to let you look through each optic yourself. The footage was taken with a DJI Osmo, basically a GoPro by another name, and it does a fine job of showing the glass. The hardest part of getting the footage was dealing with the eye box, which brings us to one data point you can't appreciate by watching a video. Let me quickly cover eye relief and eye box, since it's pretty essential to what follows. Eye relief is the distance from the optic your eye must be to get the best image. One way to demonstrate this is by shining a light through your scope to see the exit pupil on the other side. When the exit pupil is about the size of your eye pupil, you are at the ideal distance from your scope. Too close, and you will start to see the insides of the scope. Too far, and the image will shrink into shadow. Companies report a single number for their scope's eye relief, but in practice, there's a bit of play back and forth where the image is still usable. There is also a bit of play side to side where the image is still usable. The acceptable forward-backward, side-to-side, up-down wiggle room for an optic is what we call the eye box, though it's really more of a cylinder, not a cube. It's the space behind the scope where an acceptable image is visible.
Here's a diagram that I don't understand the slightest. In fact, I'm not even sure this has to do with scopes. Alright, let's get rid of that.
So I will attempt to give you some appreciation for the eye box of each of these optics by moving the camera in and out of the eye box with a second shot, a third-person view if you will, of the camera moving back and forth and side to side. Since the eye box changes with magnification, I'm going to demonstrate at the 1 and 3 powers, these will be taken from my home, and the 6, 8, and 10 powers, where applicable. These will be taken outdoors where you can appreciate the magnification. You will also get a feel for the image clarity as you enjoy the views. So let's get started. First up, we have the Nightforce NX8, 1 to 8 power. This optic has a published eye relief of 3.7 inches. After some research, it's not clear to me if this is the eye relief at the minimum magnification, the maximum, it's not the maximum, or an average, but you can see from the tick marks on this nifty cardboard grid that this reported eye relief seems about right.
Okay, so let's check it out at 3 power. Here the eye box is going to be similar, but noticeably smaller. You can see a bit more shadow. It's a little bit harder to get the camera in the eye box properly. This is because the eye box shrinks as the magnification goes up, although it's not that bad right here. Alright, let's switch to the Vortex Razor 1 to 10. This is the priciest of these 3 scopes. This scope was a paradigm shift for LPVOs. It was one of the first reputable, lightweight, minimally compromising 1-10 optics. I've owned this one for about 2 years, and I have mixed feelings, but let's save that for the end. By the way, Vortex quotes a 3.6-inch eye relief for this optic. And here it is at 3 power. Moving out. Here's side to side. Okay, the last one is a Trijicon VCOG 1-6. Trijicon says the eye relief is 4 inches throughout the magnification range, and this is worth noting because it's not just marketing from my experience. The VCOG 1-6 has a very generous eye box, and this is true from 1 all the way to 6 power. Now, because it has the lowest magnification range, we would expect it to have the least amount of compromise, but it still strikes me as very impressive. And here you see it at 3 power. We'll show 6x when we go outside. So here we are outside with the 3 optics, and we're going to compare them from 6 power and beyond. Let's start with the Nightforce once again. At 6x, you are seeing the eye box decrease even more. It's usable, but smaller. And here at 8, which is as high as it goes, it's significantly smaller than where we started. It's most usable when viewing from the prone, but when standing, the shadows get pretty annoying. Here's the Vortex at 6. And at 8. You can see pretty similar results at 8. It's not a bad 8 power. At 10, this scope becomes very hard to work with. Even from the prone, I was getting frustrated with how small the eye box is. The VCOG only goes up to 6, but as stated before, it's advertised as having a constant eye relief throughout the magnification range. Here at 6x, it's definitely the best of the 3. So that's it. I looked through 3 of my nicest LPVOs. While I was outside, I took a look through my EOTech 3x magnifier just so you can see what it's like. The shore is about 500 to 600 yards away. At these distances, you can see that the higher magnification and the advanced reticles of the scopes help a lot when compared to the 3x magnifier. Finally, I'll show you some quick footage looking across to the farther shore. This is about 1,500 to 1,600 yards as far as I can tell. This is viewing at 8x through the Nightforce NX8. So let's go over some of my opinions on these scopes. If you recall what I said earlier about the Razor, it's marketed as being a reputable, lightweight, minimally compromising 1-10 optic. In some respects, it pulls this off. It has a bright, usable 1x and goes up to 10x with clear, high-quality glass. A punishing eye box, but perhaps usable from a bench or prone. It doesn't have a parallax adjustment option, which is a big deal for longer shooting. I won't go into this, but just know that it's something that's missing. I think I prefer the 8x on the Razor to the 10x, which seems like a bit of a shame considering you spend considerable coin for 10x. Now the NX8 really shines in weight, so I'm happy with it in this configuration on this 16-inch gun, but it too suffers from some of the compromises inherent to LPVOs, but exaggerated for stretched magnification. Where I've really been impressed is with this VCOG, which, yes, I painted since we recorded on the lake. It seems to me that 1 to 6 is really where the LPVO concept shines as a do-all optic. Looking across a lake at 5 to 600 yards, I was surprised at how well 6x seems to function. I guess the old adage, 1x per 100 yards, which I had always taken to be a little fuddy, might not be too far off. Alright, I think that's enough for today. I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Thanks for watching.
That is one great